Hello and welcome. Welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here for our 2025 Internet Marketing Plan session. So, today, what we're going to focus on is really setting clear goals and targets for the year and really just breaking them down month by month, right? But most importantly, we're going to talk a little bit more about your marketing strategies and the initiatives that you need to implement to make sure that those goals become a reality. So, let's go on to our next slide. Okay. So here's a plan for today's session, right? We've got about 1 hour, maybe a little less. And I just want to make sure that we use this time effectively. Now, some of the work that we're going to cover today are going to be things like are going to be things that you're going to want to continue refining right after this video. So this is where the foundation starts. Step one, we want to set clear goals and targets for 2025. We're going to define and anchor your goals so that they're front and center, not just for you, but for your entire team. Now, whether that's revenue, profit, average transaction value, or whatever else that you may have in mind, we're really just calling our shot for 2025. Step number two, we want to align your key performance indicators with your goals. So it's not just enough to set your goal. We need to really realign the key performance indicators, the KPIs, to support those goals. So as an example, say that you have a revenue target of X amount of dollars per month, or X amount of dollars annually. What does that mean per month, right? How many leads or how many leads are you going to need? How many calls will you need? How many book services or cases are you going to have? Now, whether that means that those are cremations, traditional burials, or memorials, what's it going to take to get you there, right? So we want to break that down step by step to ensure that you're on track to hit your goals. And then step three, we want to map out the plan to accomplish this, right? Once we know the numbers, which means how many leads you need per week, how many services you need to have per month, then we want to reverse engineer that strategy, right? And we're going to do that with website optimization, search engine optimization, SEO, right? Pay per click, which is, your Google ad strategy, and then any other marketing channels that you might have, right? Really what we want to do is we want to figure out what's needed to consistently generate the leads required to hit your goals. And then there's step four, which is really budgeting and channel investment. So what budget do we need in order to support this plan? What are the channels that we want to invest in? Now, we're also going to talk a little bit about emerging channels and platforms for 2025, as well as strategies that might not have been as effective in 2023 or 2024. And then step five, really what we want to do is we want to stay ahead of trends, right? The landscape with marketing is constantly shifting. So we want to look at what's changing in 2025 and how can you stay ahead of the curve and position your funeral home as a leader in the community, right? And when we go through this process and we do it right, it's going to create a roadmap really just for massive success for 2025 and beyond. So a little bit about myself. If you don't know who I am, just a quick intro. My name's Oscar Guerrero. I'm the founder of Funeral Marketing Pros. I've got over 10 years of hands-on experience in all aspects of digital marketing. That's from technical SEO to meta ads, email marketing. And over the years, I've just helped hundreds of small to medium-sized businesses generate over $100 million. So I'm also a mentor, by the way. I'm a mentor for an organization that's called Seven Figure Agencies, where I help other small marketing agencies grow into million-dollar businesses. So I've been active in this industry for a while now, and I've worked closely with funeral homes and crematories. And today, I'm really excited to share with you, how I can help you grow your funeral business. And more important than anything else, at this point, I've had the chance to work with and speak with a lot of funeral directors and a lot of funeral homeowners, a lot of people who are running direct cremation companies in many markets in the country. And I've seen them go from struggling to generating calls online to really just becoming dominant players in the local market. So a lot of the businesses have seen huge revenue increases. And really what I'm going to share with you isn't theory, right? These are things that we actually put into place every single day. So our mission is really just to triple calls for 1,000 funeral homes and crematories by solving the number one marketing channel out there. Okay. Challenge. Sorry about that. So let's get into the marketing plan, right? The first step we need to take in our 2025 internet marketing plan is to set clear goals and targets. Okay. Without well-defined objectives, it's impossible to measure success or ensure that we're moving in the right direction. Whether it's increasing organic traffic, generating more leads, boosting conversion rates, or achieving a specific revenue goal, we need to be precise about really what we're aiming for. And really, there's no sense into diving into SEO, pay-per-click, email marketing, YouTube, or any other marketing channel if you don't have a clear and specific goal. Okay. Without clarity, all those efforts really just risk being scattered and ineffective. There's a fantastic book out there by Brian Tracy called The Ultimate Goal Setting Guide, where he says success is the goals, all else is commentary. And that concept really hits home, especially for business owners. When we're constantly juggling tasks, hiring, managing, running, trying different marketing things, handling finances, paying taxes, and a million other things that we do, you know, the one thing that truly moves us forward and gets the outcome that we're after is being laser focused on the goal. So we need to start by asking, where do we want to go, right? How much revenue do we want to generate? And how much profit do we want to achieve? When we're crystal clear on these targets, everything else can be built around achieving them. This is the focus that transforms busy work into meaningful progress. So by setting clear goals, we can create momentum. And it could be momentum that just didn't exist before. So I want you to think of this like a small sailboat out at sea. Without wind in the sails, the boat just drifts aimlessly, going wherever the current or the waves take it. You know, when that happens, there's just a lack of direction and control. But when we set clear goals and targets, it's like catching the wind in the sails. Suddenly, the boat has purpose, direction, and the energy to move towards its destination. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So by declaring that 2025 is going to be different, and by setting these crystal clear goals, we're creating the wind that drives us forward. It's about taking control of the trajectory and ensuring that every effort is aligned with where we want to go. So really, when we harness that focus, we can achieve outcomes that once felt out of reach. So here's where I'm going to challenge you today, right? Whatever that number is for you, whether you want to get to your first million, or you want to get to 3 million, or you want to get to 5 million or more, this is where we're going to go, right? When we call that out there into the universe, when we write it down, and when we create a plan to bring it into reality, then that's really where the magic happens. It's not just about setting your goals. It's about rallying, your staff around it. So I want you to imagine bringing everyone together, and saying, this is where we're headed and this is our mission. And that's really how you create momentum in your business. And that's how you spark change. This isn't, not just, this actually not only works in your business, but it can also work in your personal life. And, really it'll show you what you're capable of achieving. So by just being intentional and focused, we can shift the direction of the business and the future. Remember that momentum doesn't come by chance. It's created when we align our vision, actions, and our staff or the people around us all towards a common goal. Okay? So, the very first question that you need to ask, and what I want you to focus on right now, is understand your current reality and where you are. If you have a pen or a paper nearby, I strongly encourage you to grab one, and really get a clear snapshot of where your business is. Monthly revenue. So on a typical month, how much revenue are you generating? You know, Ballpark is fine. But this is a number that as a business owner, you should have an idea. You should know this. Write this down. Okay. How many services or cases are you doing per month? What does a typical month look like? Again, you can break this down further. How many cremations are you doing? How many traditional funerals are you doing and burials? Just try to get as specific as possible. Number three, what is the average service value? Calculate your average service value. What you're going to want to do is take all of the monthly revenue and just divide it by the number of services that you do on average on a given month, right? And then number four, you have to consider your conversion rate, right? Out of all of the inquiries to your funeral home, what percentage turn into revenue, right? Now, take a moment, fill this in, and these numbers are really critical in understanding where you are. Okay. Now, once you have that, I'd like you to shift to the goal for 2025. Now, make it realistic, right? You can be ambitious, which I think is good, but the whole purpose of this is to reverse engineer the path that's going to get you there. If you're at about $1 million a year in revenue, uh, if you put a goal of 10 million, we're going to get into the numbers and see what that takes so that you'll have an idea. So really think to yourself, like, what is really a reasonable goal for my funeral home for this year? Um, are you aiming to double? Are you aiming to increase by 30%? Just be really clear about that number. Okay. And then take a moment and think, like, why does this really matter? Right. Um, I like to turn around and frame this as, how is my life? How is my business? How is the lives of those people who work for me? How would that change if I hit those goals? And I think it's really important to write all of this down. Write your why down, write all of it down. Believe me, it will make a difference. Now, the other part of this is, all right, so we've clarified our goal, right? How much do we want to make in 2025? And then it's time to break down the metrics. Now, on the next slide, okay, we're going to go over what we call our lead generation target planner. This is something that we use internally in our agency. Really, what we do is we reverse engineer how many leads we need to generate through our marketing efforts to make the goal a reality. So if you're interested in getting a copy of that, it's a spreadsheet. Go ahead and email me, Oscar@funeralmarketingpros.com, and I'll make sure that I get a copy over to you. Now, before we go there, it's always good. Again, I just mentioned your why earlier. If you haven't had a chance to sit down and really think about this, write it down. Do it as part. Why are you doing what you do? Is it part of your family's legacy, and you want to do right by them? Do you want to do it because you're looking for ways to improve your own life, whether it be personally or your family's life? Now, I know there are so many people in this industry that I speak to that are purpose driven, and they do this job as a calling, because they want to make an impact. But I would like you to think beyond that a little bit and think how this could possibly, how getting you to the next level is actually going to bring you something else in your life, maybe even some freedom, which I know a lot of people are looking for. So this exercise really just should give you clear insights into your monthly target as far as revenue is concerned, the number of services that you need to hit those targets, how many leads are required to generate those services, based on the average service value and the conversion rate. So this is really just a practical way to reverse engineer the steps and ensure that your marketing aligns with your revenue goals for 2025. So what's the goal for the year? In this case, let's use $3 million as an example, right? The worksheet that I have here automatically divides this by 12. So it gives us the monthly target revenue. So in this case, we're looking at about $250,000 per month. Now, of course, this is a mix of services, right? Whether it just be cremations or traditional funerals. And I also know from speaking to different funeral directors around the country that every market is different. This is just an example. Now, the next step is to figure out your average service value. So ask yourself, on average, what is the dollar amount of a typical service, a typical case that you get, right? If you don't know that number, you could take the total amount of money that you made last year, right, and divide that by the number of services that you actually had. Another way to do it would just be to do it monthly, right? So let's say that your average service value is $6,000. And if you wanted to hit $250,000 per month, you would need to complete 42 services, any type of service per month, right? So what I'd like you to do is just take a pen to paper and write down your own average service value so that you have an idea of this and then what your goals are. And then step 3 is really to look at your conversion rate, right? This is the last step to figure out your lead to booked service conversion rate. And this is a percentage of leads, right? Whether they be just phone calls that you get, online inquiries, referrals, wherever they may come from, right? Anyone that actually came into your funeral home and did business with you and or contacted you to do business. So if your conversion rate is 55%, just over 50%, that means that, 55 people out of 100 are doing business with you. And in that case, you would need 76 people to contact you per month to do business. And you would have to do 42 services per month, right? Now, this is an important number because really it shows how many leads your marketing needs to generate month over month to make your target a reality. All right. So I'd like you to keep that in mind. Again, I'd also like to repeat that I know that this really varies by the market that you're in. We work with some funeral homes that their average service value is $1,500. And then we work with other ones that their average service value could be about 7,000 to 8,000. So I understand that varies, but still make sure that you have this planned out for yourself. Now, so that was my first objective, right? Make sure that we're crystal clear on the goal. That's real, there's real power in thinking about it, writing it down, and having it outlined for you. Now, don't stop there, right? We need to take one step back, and then we have to think, how does that goal break down by month? And breaking it down into monthly targets really just makes it manageable and actionable, right? Then we want to take it back a step further, and we want to ask ourselves, how many leads do we need to generate on a monthly basis to make that goal a reality? And this is a step-by-step approach that was really going to bring you clarity and ensure that you have the roadmap to reverse engineer your marketing strategy to then hit your goals. So let's focus on the numbers and break it down so everything is clear and achievable. So in a little bit, we're going to dive into another exercise that's going to help you figure out how much you need to spend on marketing and how to allocate it effectively across channels. So you have SEO, you have Google Ads, and then you have everything else, right? So we're going to break it down so you'll know exactly where to focus your efforts and your budget, and we're going to get into that towards the end. So stay with me. Now, again, If you would like this worksheet, please feel free to reach out to me, email me. It's oscar@funeralmarketingpros.com. I promise you, I will get back to you and I will send you a copy of the worksheet so that you could work it yourself as well. Now, the second step is to think about your marketing strategy. What we're going to put into play, really to make those goals into a reality, right? And before we dive into creating the actual plan, let's take a moment and take a look at the key trends and in the important shifts happening in the marketplace that you need to be aware of as we head into this new year. So these insights are critical because they'll help us stay ahead of the curve and ensure that our strategy aligns with where our market is heading. Now, I'm just going to spend a quick moment on these trends, and then we're going to dive into really dialing in and assessing the specific plan for the year. So let's get into it. Now, this is our model, right? This is a framework that you're going to want to focus on to reverse engineer the leads and targets that you've set up for yourself. This is where everything comes together, right? And we're going to break it down step by step to give you a strong foundation. This is what we call the accelerated growth model. And there's really three key things that you'll need to focus on to ensure that you can bring these goals into reality, right? And the number one is we need to drive leads, right? Now, we've done the math. We know that what that number looks like. So whether you need, 20 leads, 50 leads, 150 leads. The key is to make sure that you generate those leads consistently, month in and month out, to stay on track for your revenue goals. Now, this step is critical because everything else, conversion rates, booked services, revenue, all of that relies on having enough leads in the pipeline. The focus now is on implementing the right strategies to hit those numbers predictably and reliably. So let's break it down and explore how we can make that happen. Now, number two is maximize conversion. So not all the traffic that goes to your website is created equal. And not every person that calls you or makes an inquiry is the same, right? So in order to hit your 2025 goals, you need to ensure that you're optimizing conversion at every critical checkpoint. So we want to look at what's happening when you have a site visitor who then turns into a caller, right? Then they pick up the phone and they call you. How did they reach you, right? What experience did they have? Is the website optimized to convert visitors into leads by having very clear calls to action, right? Call now, fast load times, strong trust signals, and easy ways to contact you, right? Number two, we want to look at what happens after people call you or when the phone rings. How are people handling the calls? Are they doing this effectively? Are they being empathetic? One of the number one complaints that I hear or that I read about for some funeral homes is that they feel like things become transactional or robotic. So you need to make sure that, and I know that there's a lot of funeral home owners out there that are also funeral directors and they're answering the phone, but the reality is that at some point it'd be nice to hand that off to someone else to do, and you want to make sure that those people are properly trained, right? And then number three, from a one-time client to servicing that family over and over again, right? So we want to make sure that we deliver an outstanding experience so that that family will continue to come back in the future and recommend your funeral home to others. So when we maximize conversions at each of these touch points, we can ensure that every lead that you generate ultimately is going to drive more business to you. It's going to drive people coming back to you. So really what we need to do is we really have to tighten up on that experience and on those processes. And then number three is we have to optimize results, right? It's not enough to simply generate leads and maximize conversions. We also need to constantly evaluate and improve. And to do this, we want to do the following. Number one, we want to identify what's working, right? We want to track our marketing efforts closely and look at, okay, is SEO working? How is that working? How's Google Ads working? I'm doing some social media. What's happening there? Are we driving families back to us? And of everything that we're doing, what is generating the most leads, right? And the most service. Then number two, we want to analyze what we're spending. Look at how much we spend on marketing on a marketing channel, and then determine where is the best ROI. Are there certain areas that we're overspending in and not seeing any results? And then number three, we want to double down on the winning strategy. So we want to focus our efforts and our budget on the strategies that are performing the best by reallocating resources to what works. This way we improve profitability. And then number four, we want to minimize waste, right? We want to identify underperforming campaigns or channels and either adjust them or cut them altogether to reduce unnecessary costs. There are some people I've spoken to that are very gung ho about advertising on the radio, and then they find that this is kind of just an awareness play. And if they reallocate that budget towards a channel that they know is bringing leads that they can actually measure, they automatically see an increase in profitability. So as long as we continuously optimize results, we not only improve the ROI, but we're also going to position the funeral home for sustained growth and more profitability, right? Uh, so next, let's take a look. SEO and organic. So when it comes to driving leads, I would say like the number one place to focus on in today's market is organic traffic, right? Organic is still king because it allows you to show up in front of everyone without paying for each click or each lead. So the key is to ensure that your business is coming up towards the top on the search platforms, whether that be Google or Bing. And I would also consider online directories like parting.com. Okay. Um, Now these are specific places that your community is actually searching. And the beauty of organic ranking is that they provide ongoing visibility without a direct cost per click or per lead. Remember, when you run Google Ads, Google is charging you either per lead or per click, right? When you're able to get in front of everybody and get to the top of Google without having to pay them for it, that's really when it's most cost effective for you. So when we focus on organic visibility, really what you're focusing on is building a long-term lead generation strategy that's going to reduce the dependency on the paid ads, on paying money towards Google. And it's also going to help create like steady, cost-effective flow of leads. So you want to make sure that your business is showing up where it matters most. Now, remember, this is a long-term play, but it's one that when it pays off, it pays off really well. And if you're aggressive with your online marketing strategy, and especially with your SEO, you can be the one that is coming up in the search results at the top. You're getting the leads and the calls. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Really, what I'd like to do is just talk about the 80-20 rule, right? Which applies here, which is, like 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort in SEO. And really what I'll break it down like this. We have on page SEO, right? Which is you need to have most funeral home websites do not have specific pages for the services that they provide. And you should have that. You also want to create location specific pages. So for example, I'll give you an example. We work with a funeral home in a city called Magna, Utah. And Magna is close to, I would say, like 3 or 4 other maybe sub cities. So they've got like West Jordan, Salt Lake City. I forgot the other ones, but for every one of those areas that you service, you want to have a specific page on your website, right? And then on the site, you want to properly optimize the titles, the H1 tags, the meta descriptions, and the content for each one of those pages, right? And you also want to make sure that the content on each one of those pages is unique, right? Google is not getting dumber, it's getting smarter. So if you try to just take a lazy way to do this, it doesn't work, right? You really have to put in the effort to make the content worth reading. Um, and here's a pro tip, you can use tools to analyze the top ranking keywords. So what you want to do is you want to look at how much content those other pages have, right? How many images they're using, if they're including a frequently asked questions or other structured elements in those pages, and then you can reverse engineer those elements of their pages. That's part of kind of what we do when we're looking in a particular area and we see a funeral home that has a website that's ranking number one. Well, what are they doing differently? How are they standing out? And then number three is just off website optimization. So this is going to include your Google business profile. You want to make sure that you claim it and that you optimize it. That means that, you're posting pictures to it as well. You want to make sure that you have consistent citations. So citations are basically listings on directories. So you want to make sure that when we say that they're consistent, it's that the name, address, and phone number is the same across all of the directory. And then you want to build really what we consider or what we call an authority profile. And that we do that by linking to other websites that have high authority. And when I say that, I mean, you can't just you can't create a secondary site that and just link back and forth to it. That won't do anything. If anything, that'll probably hurt you. But say that you had a link to a local organization, right? Someone that you help sponsor, and they link back to you. That's a legitimate backlink, and that's really going to help you. And then you need ongoing efforts to build authority. So you want to add relevant, high quality content. Create a blog. And just continually do this and continually get reviews for your site as well. So we have an SEO checklist that actually goes through this step by step. And if you're interested in doing that because you want to do it yourself, go ahead, send me an email. Again, Oscar@funeralmarketingpros.com. I'll be happy to shoot that over to you. So from there, what we want to do is we want to tap into the power of paid ads. Okay. Now, paid advertising really just covers the full spectrum. We have Google ads, Google local service ads, retargeting campaigns, and then you have Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube ads as well. So it's important to note that you don't need to tackle all of these platforms at once, right? The right mix on your specific is going to be specific to your goal. So if you want to do, say, 10 to 30 extra leads per month, you could focus primarily on SEO, which is to show up at the top organically, and local service ads. And possibly in your market, that will help you reach your goal. And if your goal is 200 leads per month, you might want to be a little bit more aggressive with this. You might need a higher paid search ads budget. You might want to at that point leverage retargeting. Retargeting is like someone goes to your website once, they come off, and all of a sudden they start seeing banners and information about your funeral home everywhere. And then you might also want to incorporate branding into that and actually like go on to Facebook and TikTok and YouTube and start seeing your funeral home and your content everywhere as well. Again, the channels that you choose for this are going to should align with what your goals are. So when it comes to paid ads, it's really just essential to start with the foundation. And as I mentioned earlier, that foundation is organic. You need to have a strong website that's optimized for conversions and rankings. You shouldn't overinvest in paid advertising. And what I typically see is a lot of people out there want to go all in on Google ads, on local service ads, and really just put all their money there and not do anything for SEO. And what happens is that you're really missing out on the lowest cost, highest value opportunities that can come from organic traffic. They just may take a little bit longer to get there. So you can stack paid advertising. And how would you do that? You do that by, starting with organic, like I said, and then you go to paid search and local service ads. You can pair your local service ads with Google ads so that you could target keywords that drive higher value services, right? You could target actually funeral pre-planning in your area as well. And then you want to add retargeting and automation. So, we put a pixel on your website. Anyone who's been to your website will then get retargeted. And then we can have marketing automations where if someone tries to reach out to you, um, you know, if for whatever reason, whether they might not be calling, they may be reaching out to you through email, you have an automatic responder just go out and reach out to them automatically. And then there are pay per lead services out there, or paid directory services that you could add to this as well. And then there's the social media ads part of this. So for most funeral homes and memorial providers that are really generating less than $10 million a year, I do not believe that this is the primary focus unless you are in an area that does not have a very high population. If there's not enough, if the death rate is well, it's not really the death rate, but the number of calls that are in the area just aren't gonna be that competitive, and your number one goal is just to become known as the number one, the most well-known funeral home in the area, then you would focus on social media. Okay. So let's talk about why most pay-per-click campaigns fail. So this is Google ads. Okay. This is what I see, especially when I've worked with funeral homes. These campaigns, when they're done right, they are super effective, but there are some real common mistakes that I see time and time again. And the first mistake is using one ad group for all services. Now, this isn't a big one, but this is like, imagine you lump in cremation, memorial, pre-planning, and everything else you offer under one single ad group. And what happens is that your ads become generic, they lose relevance, and they don't speak directly to what the person is searching for. So, as an example, say that you have a person who's searching for cremation services. And they're not going to feel connected to an ad that talks about green burials or memorial planning, right? Um, this and when you have that lack of focus, it drives up your cost and it lowers your performance. So instead, what you need to do is you need to create separate ad groups for each service. That way, your ads are tailored, specific, and aligned with the intent of the person who's searching, right? The second mistake is generic ads and landing pages. So not customizing your ad copy is really a missed opportunity, and so is really just driving everyone back to your website. um, I'd like you to think about it like this: if someone searches for cremation services, they should see an ad that talks specifically about cremation, and then when they click, they should land on a page that's entirely focused on cremation. If they land on a generic page like your homepage that talks about everything that you do, pre-planning, memorials, cremation, it confuses them. And then when they become overwhelmed, they leave the website. They just bounce off. So really what we try to do is we try to align your ad copy and your landing pages to the specific search services that they're searching for. And really, this is going to create a stronger connection and probably lead to a conversion. The third issue that we see is either a weak call to action or no call to action. Now, I really think that this is critical. When you go to your website, take a look, like on your mobile device, for example, go to your website and look at, if you were an at-need family and you needed help right now, could you find it right away? Because that's what people are looking for. Sadly enough, now I know that there's some great companies out there that offer free websites. We're actually partners with a few of them. But you really need to look at, is your website optimized for flower sales, or is it optimized so that when an at-need family reaches the site, they can contact you, right? You really need to have that clear, direct call to action. Okay. So these are the three big reasons that I see Google Ads campaigns fail. Just the using one ad group for everything, having generic ads, and landing on a generic page. Now, the good news is that if we address these issues, we can turn these campaigns around, right? You can start running ads that aren't only more relevant, but they're also more effective at driving conversions and helping families find the services that they're looking for. So, the third channel when it comes to driving leads is what we call database marketing. And, as you're planning your 2025 marketing strategy and focusing on how you're going to hit your revenue targets, make sure that you don't overlook one of the most valuable assets that you already have, the database of customers, of families that you have already served. Now, I want you to think about it. If you've already worked with a family over the past few years, chances are that they're willing to hear you out. And if you were to reach out to them and talk about pre-planning options, for example, you would most likely land a few appointments. And you'd be surprised at how many funeral homes don't do this. And this is just really low-hanging fruit. So on top of that, what you want to do is you want to set up a mechanism so that you actually can be top of mind, so that when that time comes around and they need your services again, there's no question that you are the funeral home that they're going to go back to. And there are a few ways that you can do this. Now, one is a powerful tool, which is SMS, right? We found that, a simple SMS to your database um, helps you reconnect with families and helps you stay top of mind. So if you can, send out a message once a quarter, that's good, or even once a month. And it really costs very little to actually do this. If your funeral has a memorial walk, that not only gives you an opportunity to do something for the community, but it also gives you an opportunity to reconnect with those families. So take that into consideration. So those are the main things I wanted to focus on in 2025 from a lead generation perspective to hit your lead target. So organic traffic, paid ads, database marketing. And if you focus on these three pillars, you're going to have a strong, actionable plan to generate the leads that you need and achieve your revenue goals in 2025. So let's keep these priorities at the forefront as we move forward. Now, I'd love to take a moment and do a quick self-assessment on your lead generation strategy. And I'd like you to think about the key areas, whether organic, paid, database marketing, and rate yourself as green, red, or yellow. Okay. Um, Maybe on the organic side, it's yellow. You rank for some keywords, but not all of them. Or you don't know where you rank, right? For paid ads, this might be red. And again, perhaps you're not running ads at all, or you're spending more money and not seeing a solid 3 to 5x investment on the paid ad side, which is really what you should be seeing. Uh, and it feels like you're losing money. And then last is your database marketing that I just went through. Okay. So now the next step that we want to take is to maximize conversion. So there's no sense in driving a bunch of traffic, whether it's through organic search, paid ads, or database marketing, if we can't convert those visitors into callers. All right. And the first place to focus on this is really your website. And there's some specific things that you can do to optimize it. And there are just some small changes that can double or even triple the conversion rate. Okay. So let's take a look at that and how to make that happen. Oops, sorry. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to understand your family's needs. All right. These are 12 critical elements to enhance your conversion. And let me tell you, I have this, and I also have another checklist that's super detailed. what I for the sake of time, I'm not going to jump into every bullet point here, but I think it's important that you know that these components are crucial for improving the conversion rate. So here's the first thing that I want you to do is take some time and take a look at your website and ask yourself, is my website optimized to turn visitors into leads? Do I have the right elements in place that are going to make people want to call me or submit an inquiry through a form or take another action on the website? And remember that even a small change there can make a big difference on what people are going to do. Now, this checklist includes key components that can really impact your conversion rate. And as you work through it, I want you to consider what I just mentioned, right? Will people, at the end of the day, what we want is we want people to actually reach out. So do we have a clear call to action? Is the website loading fast? That's another thing that's huge. People nowadays do not wait for a website to load. If you're if you have an at need family that is looking for help and they have to wait for your website to load, chances are they're going to click away and go on to the next one. Um, One of the biggest fears that people have when contacting a funeral home is, are these people trustworthy? Are they going to take my money? And maybe I want to do a memorial for a loved one that they would be proud of. And are these people going to let me down or not? How do I know this? How do I know that I'm choosing the right place? And the number one way that you can reassure them is with reviews and testimonials. So when you actually highlight reviews and testimonials on your website, put them front and center, people will have the opportunity to see that, and that will inspire trust. So let's talk about some key things that you can do to improve your conversion rate. And I'm going to use this website, Peel Funeral Home, as an example. This is someone that we work with. This is a funeral home that we work with. When we look at their website, um, if you notice, one of the first things that you see is a phone number, which is displayed on the upper left-hand corner. You see that? And this makes it easy for families to see that contact option. And then there's a button that you see there towards the middle of the page, and it says call us. And these are simple elements, but they're very intuitive. Again, if you're an at-need family, you want to talk to someone, you get to this page, you already see that there's two ways to contact them. All right. The other thing is use real photos. There's a lot of websites out there that are just using stock images, and really real photos build trust and authenticity. So make sure that you have the photos of the founders of the funeral home all on your website. Um, Give people an option to actually uh, schedule a meeting with you on your website, or at least to reach out and fill out a form. Because remember, not everyone is in a situation where they can speak at that moment. There's situations where people might have family in hospice, and they're doing research online, and they can't actually make the phone call, but they reach out to you and they send you an inquiry. So you need to make sure that you have that available. And again, just look and think of any way that you could have any medium that you can have available for people to reach out to you through your website. Another feature that you could add is a chat, right? Little box in the corner of the site that a person clicks on, they send a message and you receive it, and you can type back and forth with them. So if there's one takeaway here, it's that you need to make it as easy as possible for families to to contact you. And we consider that, we call that in the marketing world a conversion, right? So make sure that you have your phone number clearly displayed. Add a chat feature if you can. Add forms on your website as well. Oh, another thing to consider: branding and messaging. So your visitors, the people who go to your website, have to understand what your business offers and why they should choose you. So, trusted funeral home services. family owned for generations, over 100 years old. All of that helps. Okay. Remember, strong calls to action. So people know, call us. That's a call to action. They know to do that. And then also a design that's professional, easy to navigate, and intuitive. Now, oops, sorry. This is one that not a lot of people do, but it's very powerful. Video is super powerful. And this allows potential, families to connect with your service in a more personal and authentic way. So if you can have a welcome video, if you can have an explainer video, or even just an intro video, all of those things help as long as it helps people connect with you. And as I mentioned earlier, the power of social proof, of reviews and testimonials, this is super, super powerful for people to know that you are a trustworthy place to go to. All right. So let's talk about the fundamentals of lead capture, right? This is a key element of website optimization. So you want to have forms that are prominently displayed on your key pages, especially, right? You want to have it on your homepage. You want to have it on your service pages. You don't want to collect a lot of information. All you want is the essentials, right? So that you can actually have a conversation with them and get in touch with them. And you want to make sure that your contact information is displayed clearly so that people know where to call. And there you see that immediate call to action that I highlighted for you there. Make sure that your website has something like that. All right. So the first thing that we want to make sure is that our website is built to convert, right? We've talked about how important the right elements are. You have authenticity, personality, trust building components, clear call to actions. And these are the things that help turn visitors into families that are going to work with your funeral home, hopefully for generations. Now, the second thing that will really impact your conversion rate is your reputation, because what we know is that families look you up, right? They will actually Google your name. They want to know, and they're wondering, is this trustworthy? Is this website trustworthy? Is this company trustworthy? They're going to read reviews. And what they take away from that, they should walk away saying, okay, this looks like a caring, trustworthy funeral home. But before they actually call, a lot of times they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna start digging maybe just a little deeper in reading reviews. So what I say is that outside of just providing a world-class experience, and training your staff, there's another important step that you need to take, and that's really just driving more reviews. Okay. When a family has a positive experience with your funeral home, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to share that experience. And what you're going to notice is that most people who are not prompted to leave a review will only leave a review when they have a negative experience. So this is why I tell all the funeral homes that I work with that review requests are essential. And one of the best ways that you can do this is by automating this process. So look, in the past, you might have had a person in the office that had to manually send an email, or send a text, send a thank you, or ask for a review. But today, there are tools out there that allow you to do this automatically. We actually have an internal tool that we built for funeral homes that we work with that will actually go out, thank them for their business, and ask them for a review. This system works amazingly well. We have proof because we've already installed it in many funeral homes. And really, not only is this going to help you with your reputation, but this is also going to help you with your search engine optimization. As Google starts seeing that there is more activity on your Google business profile and you're getting more reviews, they will actually push your funeral home to the top. Okay. Again, it depends on how competitive your market is, but it's definitely one of the factors that are going to help you. And this is what people will see, right? So this is a really good example of how reviews impact reputation. Now, let's take a closer look here. First, we have Florida Funeral Home and Crematory that has 3.9 stars with 164 reviews. Now, this funeral has been in business for over 10 years and operates 24/7. The lower rating might make families hesitate calling them. So when they see a 3.9 star, they may start to question whether this funeral home consistently delivers the quality and care that they're looking for. And it might even cause them not to call them, just keep searching. And then you can compare that to Lakeland Funeral Home, which has 4.8 stars and 172 reviews. So not only does this funeral home have a strong review count, but the higher average rating immediately signals trust, reliability, professionalism. So families searching for funeral homes services are more likely to choose the funeral home with 4.8 stars because sorry, 4.8 stars because it reassures them that other people have had a positive experience with them. Okay. So this is why focusing on quantity and quality of reviews is absolutely critical. Okay. Most positive reviews lead to higher conversion rates and better visibility on platforms like Google Maps. Remember, okay? So this is definitely something that is essential. So the third thing when it comes to maximizing your conversions as we head into 2025 is automation. I mentioned this earlier, but this could be a big opportunity. This is somewhat new for your for funeral homes. You know, we can automate and streamline critical processes, send review requests, follow up with families. If you get a inquiry from your website, most people are not going to stick around or look for um, a reply days after, especially if they're at need. So at that point, it's absolutely essential for you to get this automated, right? And the more that you embrace automation, the more efficient that your funeral home is going to run, and ultimately, the more amount of families that you're going to be able to serve. Okay, so that's conversion. Um, your website, your reputation, automation. We've reviewed all of that. And let's say, I think that this is a great way to think about your goals for 2025. Think about where you stand on these things. Are you red, yellow, or green? What part of this can you improve? Can you improve your website? Can you improve your reputation? Can you improve through automation? You know, take a moment, think about that. Are you leveraging everything that's currently available to you? All right. So the last piece of this model is to accelerate your growth and hit those targets in 2025 is optimizing for results. And really what we need to do is we need to figure out what's going to get us there, what's actually generating the best customers. So the first part of optimizing your results is your marketing spend. We need to ensure that we're investing enough in marketing to generate the lead flow that we want. So for example, a small funeral home that's making, say they're making about $500,000 a year, they're probably spending total about $2,000 per month on marketing. And that aligns with industry averages or recommendations, which say, you know, allocate 5% of revenue to marketing. Now, if your goal is to grow to 750 in annual revenue, it's essential that you adjust your marketing budget accordingly. This could mean increasing the monthly marketing spend to about $3,125, right? Um, Now that maintains that 5% allocation, but it's relative to the new revenue target, right? The budget that got you to where you are now probably isn't the same budget you need to reach the next goal. So sometimes we have to expand the budget. Now, I'm not saying spend money in a vacuum. That would be foolish, but if we could but if we know that dollars spent are tracked, they're generating leads, they're generating more services, and they're driving more business, then investing more is actually wise, right? So we need to ensure that we're spending enough to fuel our growth with a clear understanding of the ROI of our marketing dollars. Now, let's revisit the marketing budget planner that I mentioned earlier. This is the spreadsheet that we designed to help you map out exactly how much you need to invest to hit your goals in 2025. And if you'd like a copy, again, it's absolutely free. Just email me, oscar@funeralmarketingpros.com, and I'll shoot it right over to you. And here, what you do on this sheet is just you fill out the fields. We have them highlighted in red. There's just a few of them. It's your annual projected revenue, your marketing budget percentage, and how you want to allocate those funds. And then you enter that data, and it's going to calculate everything for you. But just a general rule of thumb, right? If you're reinvesting less, 5% or less of your revenue into marketing, you are likely static and not growing. You're just maintaining where you are. If you're investing 6 to 15%, you're driving moderate growth, and you're helping to generate more leads, more services, and scale your funeral home. And really, if you want accelerated growth and you wanted to grow quickly, you would need to invest 15% or more of your revenue. So back to the example that we mentioned in the beginning, let's say that your goal is $3.5 million, and you chose to allocate 10% of that. That means that you have an annual marketing budget of $350,000, which roughly is around $30,000 a month. So again, and this is also why in the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned you're going to want to set expectations or goals that are realistic, right? Because if you wanted to go from 500,000 to 3.5 million, do you have $30,000 a month to invest into that, right? And what we recommend is splitting your budget into three categories: 80% for online marketing, 10% offline marketing. That's going to include your billboards and direct mail and community outreach, and 10% to continue building the relationships with the families that you've served so that you could have that repeat business. So from here, to truly optimize results, we need to figure out one of the most important things here, one of the most important metrics, which is your average cost per lead. So it's critical to have a clear understanding of this. So if you're spending $5,000 or $15,000 on marketing and generating a certain number of leads, how much is your average cost per lead? And beyond that, how much of your cost per lead is coming from different channels like SEO, Google Ads, or other forms of marketing that you've implemented? So if you don't know those numbers, marketing can feel intimidating. It's going to feel like you're just spending money. You don't have a clear idea of where it's going and what you're going to get out of it. So this is why it's important to view your marketing as an investment rather than think it as a cost or an expense. Successful funeral homes that grow and scale don't just spend blindly. They track their return on investments. So you need to know how much you're putting in and how much this is bringing back to you. So as you evaluate your marketing strategy, make sure that you're calculating and tracking your average cost per lead by channel. This is going to give you really the confidence to invest strategically and grow your business with a clear return on investment. And here again, we've provided some key metrics that you can use as a reference. And we have this built into the sheet that I mentioned earlier. You can feel free to email me if you're interested in receiving the sheet. It's oscar@funeralmarketingpros.com. But for general funeral services, if you see here, you see that your average pay-per-click cost per lead is $100. Your average Google local service ad lead is $75. You know that you may have a newsletter going out, or you're in touch with people that you've serviced before through some medium, and you know that you're getting people to come back and inquire about pre-planning services at $25 per lead. And then any brand related leads, those that are driven by your existing reputation, are going to even be lower at $12.50 per lead. And then when you average this out, you know that the average is going to be $53 a lead. So We included transaction value here. Uh, it should have been 4,500. It says $450, but yeah, it's pretty much the same principle, right? So you know the average value of the transaction. And I think it's important to know that these things are always constantly changing, these numbers. So we have inflation, right? We all know about that now. We have inflation rising, cost per click, cost per lead are increasing. And then you have to, this is important because you're going to have to adjust your pricing to reflect those changes as well. So these metrics could give you a great starting point, but make sure that you track your own numbers because that's key to understanding your costs and ensuring that your marketing efforts are generating a strong ROI. So make sure that you have tracking mechanism in place to monitor your marketing spend so that you know your average cost per lead. Some people have a dashboard for this. We offer a report that we give the funeral homes that we work with, and we also sit down and review it every month. And then number three, and probably most importantly, is you have to optimize for your return on investment, right? At the end of the day, it's not just about what your average cost per lead is, but what really matters is if I'm spending $1, am I getting five back in return? Because if you're after covering all your expenses, right, you've got your employees, your real estate, your overhead, other costs, after all of that, where's your profit? What's your profit? So you need to ensure that your marketing spend is producing a measurable return on investment and not just overall, but, down to the specific marketing channel is what I recommend. Like, what is my SEO bringing me? What is my local service ads bringing me, etc. Okay. Definitely find that to be super, super important. So here's what we accomplished today. We set our targets and our goals for 2025. We broke those goals down month by month. I gave you an idea of how to set your targets, uh, what would be the best way to break that down to make it manageable. Next, we work with our budget allocation. Where should our marketing dollars go to maximize our results? Are we focusing on the right strategies to drive leads, maximize conversion, optimize our return on investment? And then see where you stand with some of the things that I mentioned here. Are you green? Are you yellow? Are you red? Is there anything that you can change to completely shift the outcomes that you're having this year? And number three is all about planning your focus. So as we move forward, it's critical to take a moment and prioritize and identify the areas that need the most attention, right? Where do you want your focus? Where do you want to focus your efforts? Is it on generating more leads, maximizing more conversions, or perhaps optimizing the return on investment? So planning your focus ensures that your energy and your resources are directed towards the strategies that are going to make the biggest impact on your funeral home, right? You want to hone in on these areas and create a clear, actionable roadmap to achieve your goals for 2025 and beyond. And hopefully you found some real value in what we covered today. I truly hope that these strategies, examples, and insights that I shared with you gave you clarity and actionable steps to help your funeral home grow and succeed. So whether it's setting a clear goal, tracking your progress, or optimizing your marketing, the key to take what we discuss and the key is to take what we discuss and really put it into action, right? I'm excited to see how these tools, these ideas can help make a difference for your funeral home. And if you'd like some help, we'd love the opportunity to chat and support you. So you can schedule a free online marketing plan review by visiting funeralmarketingpros.com/strategy or call us directly at 855-674 1008. Part of your review, you're going to get your Google Maps analysis, website conversion optimization review, reputation analysis, and your total optimization plan, which is really the strategy that is tailored to your funeral home's online marketing needs. It was a pleasure talking today, and please feel free to reach out. Thanks, and good luck this year.